Right, let's race. There's only one day left. Loads of people will have done it already. What cars do I have? I'm going to upgrade those cars to race, just so it's more fun. And I've only got a little bit of gas. I couldn't say a few, a few, a few fuel. Everyone knows when you put two words, when you put multiple words together that start with the same letter, it's called an alliteration. It's like we're taught these words when we're young so that we recognize the things in reality, because things like that happen, you stutter on it because it's harder to say, but then it is a special thing, it's an alliteration. Like, and when someone says something that's an oxymoron, you identify it. Oh, that an honest liar, that's strange. That's an oh, but we've been taught that's an oxymoron, so we understand what it is. There's lots of things in the world that don't have words, and that makes it difficult to understand what they are or explain to other people what's happening. And the way the sort of the state and the council operate is a lot in that area that it's very difficult to explain. There are words for everything. Like when I left university, or was it before I left? I can't remember. But towards the end of my uni days, I started feeling like I couldn't explain myself. Maybe I was experimenting a little bit too much, but I just had all these thoughts and I couldn't voice them. I couldn't kind of make people understand my point of view. I didn't have the words to convince or persuade or even just explain myself to myself. And so I did something that not that many people do. I read the entire dictionary, and I didn't just read it once. I cross-referenced three of them, and it was before I wasn't using the internet. I was using proper books. I did look on the internet for other things, but I was very particular about the word being British and not taking a lot of additional American words into the lexicon that I was doing. And I read all of them. Just like I didn't start at A because that doesn't make sense, because A is a prefix for lots of letters. So you start with consonants, and it's easier with smaller ones. V was my favorite letter, and then I think I did read it before V for Vendetta came out, and when the guy did the whole V speech using V words for so many things, it was just like, oh, that's just fucking brilliant. Where am I? I've got a point. I'm talking about the words for a reason, because when you make a word for something and then that word spreads, it helps people understand it. There used to be a word for, well, the word still exists, but there's a word KA. It's just car, so the letter K and then letter A, car, and it's the spiritual energy inside a statue of a person. So that doesn't exist, but many believed it did, and so there's a word for it. There's also a word called telogamy, and telogamy is the remnant on your children of your wife's former boyfriends. And it's like, yes, men used to think in the past that if a woman had slept with someone else before you took them as a wife, then your children would be polluted. And the words in the dictionary, we've got words for it, but then there's no words to explain how corrupt like a corporation and the law and the government are at times. They're just, the words aren't there. And I'm not saying they're being restricted. They're just sort of, we're unable to create them through the way that we live. What car? I'm finishing with the Porsche. It's Newspeak. It's kind of related to Orwell's Newspeak. Like, and at the beginning of 1984, they're on the 17th version of the Newspeak dictionary, indicating that it's an evolution to get there from our dictionary. You just slowly evolve to redefine words, to remove ambiguity, to take away in necessity. Scary. 1984 is brilliant. I had a version with an appendix at the back that explains Newspeak, and if you just read the explanation of Newspeak, you understand entirely how it works in controlling minds, like the removal of words and the removal of ambiguity. Like the inability for the sentence "we are all equal" to make sense, because how can everyone be equal because we're different? If you say that the word equal can only mean one thing, that things have to be identical, then you can't say the sentence "we are all equal," and then you can't make the political argument for freedom for all people, because people aren't equal. I lost it for the last couple of weeks because I had to write a legal letter to the council about this £32,000 bill. The bill itself, if it was honest, no problem with it, but it's just so dodgy, it's hard to explain why it's so dodgy, and it takes so much energy out of you to try and communicate it. Not now to you guys, but in the legal document to the council, to make sure they can't just beat it back with their, what I call, organised nonsense. So whatever you say to them, however correct and infallible or indisputable your argument is, apodeictic or axiomatic your argument is, you can't beat them. They'll just come back, even if you're completely right, the sky is blue, they'll just come back with no, it isn't, because then they won't listen to your response after that. It's just, and until you take them to court, they won't do anything. And I think this time I'm actually going to have to take them to court, unless they do respond properly to my comments in this email. Trying to think if there's one little thing I can say to try and explain it. There's lots of complicated. There's things that are strange. What's the dumbest thing? Like when the project started, we were given an estimated bill, and then 17 houses, group of leaseholders, hired a surveyor and a lawyer, and we negotiated that bill down to 24,000. And then the works were scheduled to start, and then the company that had been hired to do. So I don't know if I said the first bill was 42,000. We negotiated it down to 24,000 after 2 years with lawyer and stuff. And then that company got sacked, and they brought another company in to do the works. The other company sent us a letter saying the estimate for the bill is 42,000. We tried to enter negotiation to make sure it'd be done properly, and we just got told by the council, we don't have time for that this time. Don't worry, this is just an estimate. Whatever happens might be different, so don't worry about objecting to this bill now. And then when the work started, we're sitting in like a residents meeting with the builders. Am I playing multiplayer? I would normally switch to tilt then, but where is everyone? Oh, I have no idea. What was I saying? The new company sent us a bill, and it's for 42,000, and we're not allowed to protest the estimate like we did beforehand and really successfully negotiated it down. They just want to start the works because too much time has passed already. And it has been a lot of time. It was probably 3 years at that point since the first estimate came out. But then a couple of months into the work, we're having the first sort of meeting where they're pretending that they're nice and communicating back to you, pretending like it's a consultation, but they're just telling you what to do to hope you don't ask any questions and to get you to go away. And the main thing they came out with is, we haven't had to do much to your roofs. And there was a big number in the estimate for the roofing costs, a really big number. And so then one of the residents said, so does that mean the costs will be adjusted? Because we'd all been promised if they didn't have to do the work, then we wouldn't pay the amount in the estimate. We'd pay the amount they did. But then the builders said, no, it's within the amount agreed on the estimate with the council. And all the residents were just like jaw dropped. We've just been told that the builders are just going to take the estimate amount regardless of whatever they do, because that's already been agreed. And then we never had another meeting where they told us what they were going to do. And the only thing in the bill that's changed from the estimate is the roofing costs, where they've reduced them to actual reasonable cost, but everything else has just been moved around to try and retain all the money that they wanted to make. There was a £12,500 drain survey in the estimate, and we were arguing, what on earth would you do for that? We've all got drains cover, and the current repairs team can sort the drains out for 30 quid anytime. And now in the real build, the survey's only 500 quid. But they've added an imaginary £12,000 of drainage works that never happened. There's loads of work in there that never happened that they've just added in to meet the estimate that they could have claimed for the work. And then there's a thing about reasonable costs. The costs have to be reasonable, and there's already a mechanism in place to do most of the work that they charged us for. And that mechanism that's already in place costs less than 5% of what they charged. So basically, £17,000 of the £32,000 bill can be challenged quite easily in court, and I've got no doubt that if I went into a courtroom, I'd win on all the counts for the 18,000. And so I can't just pay the bill when I know I can get 18,000 off it. Well, not 18,000. Probably I'd get 17,000 off it. They might give me 2,000 off it based on the email that I've written. But then I hire a lawyer, pay a court. I have to pay fees to go to court. I can't just take them to court. I have to pay for the session to be heard, for a tribunal to be heard. And then pay for a lawyer as well. If you're not super confident and think you can take on a courtroom, I've been to court, and a lawyer is useful. But these arguments are so simple. Oh no, and I wanna upgrade that car. I've not driven it 5 stars, and I'll use my B car. I'm near the limit on that as well. I still need 71 of those things. Let me pause while I upgrade the car. Right, I had 14 epics in the bag for that car. Let's collect the free pack. Let's get rid of that yellow banner. And buy something in the shop. Because then, oh no, that's all a waste of currency though. Even though I've got I'm not even going to spend trade coins I don't need. I've got to wait till later to get the final thing. Yeah, whatever I write in this letter, however infallible my arguments, however complete, however fair, they'll be met with responses that just make you jump through hoops. So if I put 30 comments down, each one will lead to me having to do 3 actions that if I don't do, they'll ignore the comment. So it's really tiring. And then even the actions that you then do, they'll do the same thing to that. So everything just keeps amplifying into more and more and more until you give up. I think some of you will remember I had this, not hatred, but dislike of Serco, the company that were running our running our bin management and waste management around the borough in Hammersmith and Fulham. But they weren't really running anything, and I'll explain why. Because for the last 8 months, the council officials have been really proud. Like loads of people, like residents, community leaders, councillors, people that work at the council, they've all been really like smile on their face, excited about the fact that Serco are being replaced by Viola. So anyone that comments about anything related to rubbish gets told, don't worry, the future's looking bright. We've replaced Serco as the contractors. Viola are going to come in, and let's see what the new future's like in this new world of Viola. And there was this build-up over the months of the excitement of the councillors as they talk about this, and then Mercy, a big person at Hammersmith and Fulham Council, one of my neighbours, said, "Oh, it's happening next week or something," and that was the week before last. And when it happened, the switchover day, oh, everything's going to change. All the rubbish management's going to change. We're not going to have massive piles of rubbish piled at every lamppost that the street sweepers can't be bothered to carry because they're still operating a system from 1990 before in Shepherd's Bush before it turned into one of the hubs of London with more people than Oxford Street. They didn't understand how to then deal with the waste, that they just left it all on the street for someone to come later, and getting it once a day is enough. So there's just these enormous piles of waste everywhere. And we have these archaically old trucks, these horribly dirty trolleys that the people wheel. And then what happened on switch over day, the company switching over, everything's going to change. That the street sweepers got a new trolley, and they got a new orange day glow vest, and they scratched Serco off the bin trucks so that they peeled the label off that used to say Serco on the bin. They haven't yet got the Viola label for most of the bin trucks, but they've peeled off the Serco name on the one that comes to mind. All the staff are exactly the same. All the supervisors are exactly the same. Viola hasn't taken over Serco. There's no, I don't watch the news, but I don't think there's been Serco is still a company. It hasn't lost its staff. So how did these staff all change uniform? I don't think their paycheck changed from Serco to Viola, because that'd be a really complicated thing, switching over. Maybe they did do that, but you'd have to get agreement from the staff, or it would be. And there's no reason for them to change if it's not sort of forced redundancy. You can't, and the company hasn't been bought. Doesn't make any sense. So you then think, well, maybe actually all the people are just employed by a depot. That depot used to be the council running it directly. Then they privatized it, and then there's just this third party company that sends them equipment and then says get on with it. They don't care what they're doing. They're just sending them a new day glow vest, and they're doing the same routes with the same staff at exactly the same times with the same processes. Yet that for 8 months was that was the gold at the end of the rainbow for every council person trying to make someone feel better. It's amazing. That's part of what I call the infinite game of musical chairs. So the other aspect, the same thing the council do within the company, is every person has to change job every year and a half and not pass anything over to the person taking over their job. That ensures that if they make any friends or start being effective at their job, they better stop quickly. And then whoever they were helping will call up the person that replaced them, and they'll go, oh, well, I'm not Sandra, so I can't do what she did. And it's just such a brilliant tactic at ending all existing projects that you didn't want to. Oh, well, we're in knockdown mode. I've been thinking I'm playing Ghost. As if I can catch up. Not really paying attention. And now that guy is ghosting on me. I'm going to have to switch. Am I sat in a position where I can play to it? I've got the wire hanging out the phone as well. It's really annoying having a wire sticking out the phone going into your hand. It makes it difficult to switch. It's him. Yeah, that's the infinite game of musical chairs. They all change job. The person that was helping you no longer helps you because they're now in a different position and it's not their responsibility anymore. The person that is now doing their job hasn't received any handover notes because that's not how they work. They're going to do it new. They're going to do it their way and they're going to do it better. It's like, oh my God. Heard it all before. Right, I'm still not at 400. I need 400 points. I need one blueprint. It's going to be some really nasty. It's not even, they're not exciting cars in the output. It's just the 1896, isn't it, that I want? I've written the letter. I've nearly completed it. I've drafted it to a good degree. I just need to tidy it up tomorrow. A friend of mine's sister was a lawyer for Mission de Rea for the past 10 years and has set up her own firm. And I think she won Young Lawyer of the Year. And I think he can persuade her to help me with passion. And I think she'd quite enjoy it. It's quite a fun thing. It's so ridiculous, some of the elements of this project. They bunched together so much work, they then had to spend £125,000 on site admin and offices to sit in our garden while the work took place. And actually, if you work it out and remove the items they didn't need to do, and we already had people that could have done it, there wouldn't have actually been a need for them at all, or that site office. And all the items that got created, every item that got created, what I'm about to say, the council had a 10% management fee. So they hired, instead of doing the work themselves, which they're capable of, they hired another company to manage other they charged us a management fee to hire another company to manage other companies to do work on our property. And then in the week they send us the bill, they put a poster up in the hallway saying, is anything, and this is message to the council tenants. So our buildings are 50-50. Half the people are council tenants, half the people are leaseholders. We're on a garden street. We're really small buildings, and the buildings got forgot by the council for like 30 years. So it's like you didn't realise the council owned the outside of the building, and then one day they worked out they did actually own it, and they just turned up in force to bang on the walls and fix tiles that didn't need fixing. And so then they needed to clean up after themselves and paint stuff. It was just endless. What car shall I take? I'll take the Chrysler out, but I don't think I'm going to do well in it in stock. So again, I'm going to upgrade it. Still not a funk. It's not going to be high enough. Oh, it will be high enough rank to get 10 points. But yeah, they put this poster up in the hallway saying, is something broken? Call us for any repairs. We're spending over £1 million a week on repairs to council homes. And it's this message that 2 years ago, someone in a council forum said, we don't care, when talking about repairing stuff or any problems with anything, we don't care what it costs, we just want to get the job done. And it's like they literally don't care if they're fixing the same, say there's someone that's got Munchausen's but he wants attention from the council, he keeps breaking his tap, phoning them up saying it's broken. They will come and fix his tap every day of the year without complaint. They'll replace his tap. If he doesn't like his shower, just smash it, phone them up, they'll come put a new one in. And then actually, when you look, they charge so little for all these tasks because there's such decent contracts going on. They have to do contracts like mine, the major works project. Where should I go? Right. I meant to go right. It is better going right there. That was silly, but we'll be all right. Yeah, they do the major works projects. We're in contact, aren't we? Because they pass over simple tasks that they don't actually make any money from to another company that charges 10 times the amount for it, that they then put a 10% management fee on top of it. It's very clever. And then it helps them plump up this 1 million a week figure. Without those works, they wouldn't be spending 1 million a week because they'd just be spending like half a million. Oh, I'm going to get KD'd. Why is it non-ghost? Anyway, I'm done. Let's see what blueprints I get. That was me talking about, well, I read the dictionary, organised nonsense, and the infinite game of musical chairs. I hope it made sense. And why my brain's been busy. Apex. Good night, guys. Go away, bank. Good luck, guys. I'm madder than you.